You don't talk much, not because you have nothing to say, but because your mind is already saying too much. You replay conversations hours after they end. You notice things others completely miss. A small change in someone's tone, a slight pause, a hidden meaning behind simple words. And sometimes, you wish you could just turn it off. But you can't, because you're not just thinking, you're thinking deeply. There's a moment that happens more often than you admit. You're sitting with people, maybe friends, maybe family. Everyone's laughing, talking, moving fast, and you're there too. But a part of you isn't. You're observing, analyzing, reading between lines no one else even sees. Someone says something casual, but you catch the emotion behind it. Someone smiles, but you notice it doesn't reach their eyes. And suddenly, your mind drifts. Why did they say that? What did they really mean? Is something wrong? By the time you come back to the conversation, it's already moved on, and you feel slightly out of place. Not disconnected, just deeper than the moment allows. Here's the truth most people don't realize. Deep thinkers don't just process information, they process meaning. Where others see events, you see patterns. Where others hear words, you hear intention. It's not overthinking, it's depth without an off switch. Your brain is constantly trying to understand the why behind everything. Why people act the way they do. Why emotions feel so intense. Why certain moments stay with you longer than they should. And because of that, you don't just experience life, you absorb it. Pause for a second. Think about the last time something small affected you deeply. A message that felt slightly off. A silence that lasted a bit too long. A look that didn't match the words. Most people forget these things instantly, but you didn't. You carried it. You thought about it. You tried to understand it. That's not weakness. That's awareness. But here's where it gets complicated. The same depth that gives you insight also gives you weight. Because when you see more, you feel more. And when you feel more, you carry more. That's why deep thinkers often struggle silently. Not because life is harder for them, but because their inner world is louder. You might have noticed this about yourself. You can sit quietly for hours, lost in thought. You can imagine entire conversations that never happen. You can feel emotionally exhausted without doing anything physically. And sometimes, you wish your mind would just slow down. But it doesn't. Because it's not built to skim the surface. It's built to dive. Let me tell you something most people won't say out loud. Deep thinkers often feel misunderstood. Not because people don't care, but because people don't see the layers you're operating on. You say something meaningful, and it gets brushed off as too serious. You try to explain how you feel, and it sounds complicated. So eventually, you stop explaining. You keep things inside, and you become the person who seems fine, but is constantly thinking. Here's another moment. You're lying in bed at night. Everything is quiet, but your mind? It's not. It's replaying the day, rewriting conversations, questioning decisions. What if I said that differently? What if they misunderstood me? What if something changes because of this? Hours pass, and the world sleeps, while your thoughts stay awake. Pause again. Ask yourself this honestly. When was the last time your mind truly rested? Not distracted, not entertained, but quiet. If you can't remember, you're not alone. But here's the twist most people never realize. Deep thinking is not the problem. Uncontrolled thinking is. Because there's a difference between understanding deeply and drowning in your own thoughts. One gives you clarity, the other takes it away. Deep thinkers have a unique ability. They can connect dots others don't even see. They can understand emotions at a level most people avoid. They can reflect, grow, and evolve faster than average. But only if they learn one thing: how to step back from their own mind. Because not every thought deserves your attention, not every feeling needs to be analyzed, and not every silence hides a deeper meaning. Sometimes, a message is just a message. A pause is just a pause. A moment is just a moment. And the more you try to decode everything, the further you drift from simply living. That doesn't mean you stop being deep. It means you choose when to go deep. Because your mind is like the ocean, beautiful, powerful, endless. But if you stay too far below the surface for too long, you forget what it feels like to breathe. Real strength for a deep thinker isn't thinking more, it's knowing when to stop. So here's something to hold on to. You don't need to silence your depth. You don't need to become less aware. You don't need to fit into shallow conversations. But you do need balance. Moments where you let things be simple. Moments where you stop searching for hidden meanings. Moments where you just exist without analyzing. Because life isn't only meant to be understood, it's meant to be experienced. And maybe, just maybe, the peace you've been searching for isn't in finding all the answers, but in realizing you don't need all of them.